Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like.
Check out our podcast below in the description as well.
Bad news if you're looking forward to the Raiders playing on Sunday Night Football, John. They just got, I'm going to go air quotes, flexed. But it's not because the matchup isn't good with the Bucs. It's a great matchup. Seahawks-Cardinals is now going to be Sunday night because the Raiders, we don't know if they're going to have enough offensive linemen to play the football game. Coming off a bye, they don't have all their ducks in a row, John. Trent Brown, COVID, and the NFL's investigating if they've been following protocols.
Yeah, it feels like Trent Brown's situation is a disaster. He wasn't following the protocols. A lot of people were around him. They had to send the entire offensive line home, which, is one of the better units in the league. And I think we were texting this morning before the news came out, and I'm like, unlike some of these other games, because those guys hadn't tested positive, so it's not like the Raiders at the point of recording it, and I saw Pelissaro reported, no, they don't have a bunch of positive tests beside him. But they sent people home that were contract tracing that were around him. My take to you was, listen, I think Raider fans are going to be pissed off, but I don't think they're going to move this fucking game, given that it was NBC, like based on some offensive linemen being out, which would suck for the Raiders and basically be a borderline lock of the week for us.
Right.
But I thought they were going to force the Raiders to play no matter what. Then once you see them make this move, is it fair to say that NBC, we can't take the risk, guys. We're the number one show on television. We do the biggest ratings for the number one league. This is our cash cow. This is our baby. Just give us another fucking game. Flex the best afternoon
Now, look,
game.
maybe it's what's good for NBC is what's good for the NFL, and what's good for the NFL is what's good for NBC. So maybe NBC didn't have to do it, but that was definitely my first thought too. Was NBC looked at this and went, "We don't want to." Monday Night Football's had some messes. It's been unique, but let's avoid that. We've got the Seahawks-Cardinals game. We can drive the truck, the TV truck, and go from Vegas to Seattle really easily. That's a good matchup. Let's, instead of trying to go with casting some other guy as the star, let's just go with Russell. We know what we're going to get out of Seattle. Kyler, that's easy.
Kyler was just on Monday Night Football and starred.
It's kind of a similar matchup, right? Younger, famous quarterback against older, famous quarterback. Not exactly the same, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, it's my first thought. It sucks for Raiders fans, sucks for Mark Davis, sucks for the organization. I know they don't have fans, but this is still the Sunday night debut of their brand new stadium. And for all the years we talked about it, didn't think it was going to happen, whatever. It happened. It's awesome. They're there. They just beat the Chiefs. You really couldn't pick a better time to play this game if you're them, right?
Well, I was just,
it
was the Niner-Rams game. Didn't you feel like they were hyping up the Vegas game pretty hardcore during that Sunday Night Football game?
Al was fired up to go to Vegas, no doubt.
Yeah, they hammered that. Now they always push the next game, but they were openly kind of talking about whoever would have thought we would have gone to Vegas, and
they were not just reading the card, right? Coming up on Sunday, it's a big matchup when the Bucs take on the Raiders. It wasn't that. It was like, I can't wait to go. So this sucks.
It's an embarrassment for the Raiders.
It is an embarrassment.
I'm not blaming, it's not because of anything the owner did. It's not anything I'd even say Gruden or Mayock did. Now, they did sign this player, and this is a player that Kyle Shanahan shorted.
And Bill Belichick opted out on him, too.
The 49ers believed, we don't think he's worth big money. We can't trust him. Bill Belichick won a Super Bowl with him and said, nah, I'm good. And last year, he was banged up a little bit. He's a really good player. No one disputes that. His talent in a vacuum, he's worth one of the higher, when he's on the field, one of the higher paid offensive linemen in the league. No issue with it. But this year's for him has been a disaster. There's been some weird shit bubbling on the surface. Now it's safe to say, he fucked them. Pretty good. I mean, really good. Because when I say, you sent Rodney Hudson home, here's what I know about Rodney Hudson. Never had one issue. If it's borderline all-pro or whatever, Pro Bowler, I just say he's on the all-character team. He's one of those guys you just say, Rodney Hudson. Every team in the league, I don't want that guy. Gabe Jackson, never had an issue beside a broken foot or whatever. He's zero issues with Gabe Jackson. Colton Miller, never heard a peep out of the dude. I texted people in the league. I might owe a little bit of apology. I've heard he's actually becoming a good player. People have been impressed. He's he's better than McGlinchey.
Yeah,
right
that
now.
was the pick, the back-to-back. That was the coin flip pick, right?
So you have this group of when you think the Raiders definitely Rodney and Gabe are just some stalwart, just everything you want in an NFL player. Those two guys, and Trent Brown just fucks. Here's the other thing, guy. Tampa Bay is arguably the best defense in the league. Like that. I don't know who's going to play and who's not as of recording this right now. Who even knows? I guess they could always push this game to Monday or Tuesday. It's a disaster these guys haven't been able to practice.
Yeah, it might be that's the other thing, right? It might be that they sent them home contact tracing. None of them test positive. And so there's no reason to push the game back. Like they'd be like, we're playing.
That's what Pelissaro said. They're still on track as long as these guys, and they'll be able to play. And this is Belichick. I heard someone say this. And they're like, for the first time ever, I heard Belichick kind of use some excuses after the last game. They lost to Denver. And I went to watch a little bit of the press conference after the Denver game. I didn't really think he was giving excuses. He's like, to play on Sundays, you usually need to practice during the week. Like, they hadn't really been able to practice. Remember, they sent the guys home Friday and Sunday. Friday and Saturday before that game. Like, in fairness, I think, listen, we can say excuses like the guy needs to get open or we need to execute better. If you're not able to practice in the NFL on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, leading into a game on Sunday, that is not an excuse. That's a fact, right? That's just that's never happened in the history of the sport before Corona, right? Teams get to practice, right? There's just
maybe there've been some some air quality
maybe there've been
issues,
individuals,
right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, they're sick, something like that. But I'd say this year consistently, where like. You just have to send everyone home from the facility. Like, closing down for the day. Or just, when has it ever happened where no one's sick, technically, right? Like Colton Miller, Gabe Jack, and you just got to be like, guys, you have to leave. But you still are going to run your practice that day. Guy, they practiced yesterday. I saw Vic Tafur wrote out the offensive lineman. It was just like practice random guys you've never heard of. So it's like, if they have to roll those guys out, the Raiders would get destroyed. And that would honestly, if Gruden said after the game, it's hard to win a game without your 5 starting offensive linemen, wouldn't be an excuse. That'd be a fact, right?
Especially if he said if 4 guys just hadn't practiced all week but are back, let's say even in that scenario, right, where you get 3 days without those guys and they play, and now you got a new right tackle. Although, like you said, Trent Brown hasn't played.
Trent Brown's only played 2 games, but still, like I think the other guys, even if they're not able to practice but are able to play in this game now at 4:00, I think the Raiders are in a world of hurt. And there already feels like there's going to be this element of negativity around them, in the sense like, did Trent Brown just kind of derail their season a little bit? Like, is he throwing everything off? Now maybe that's just a blip on the radar, but. They're not going to cut the guy.
I got an update for you here, John, as we're doing this. Paul Gutierrez just tweeted. Confirmed. Raiders O-line and Jonathan Abram all going on the COVID-19 list as they've all been deemed high-risk contacts. So they're now quarantined for 5 days plus the last day of contact, which was Monday, which means they could conceivably be cleared by Sunday morning via a POC test, but it also means less time to prep because now the game's been moved up. 5 other offensive linemen on the 53-man, plus 2 on practice squad. You have to suit up at least 8 O-linemen on game day. Signing a street free agent doesn't work either because then they'd have to go through a 6-day entry protocol.
Have to quarantine too.
Moving the game back to Monday or Tuesday seems most likely at this juncture, which would be kind of feels like a win for the Raiders if this game got moved back. Would you agree with that?
Like Monday afternoon?
Yeah, just playing on Sunday, I think, is the hardest thing for them to do at this point, given the situation.
Yeah. But even playing on Monday, as we've seen before with other teams, can be a difficult scenario too. You're just kind of delaying the inevitable, right? These guys.
Yeah.
So let's say they play on Monday. They would still not have practiced all week, right? And this gets back to the main elephant in the room of Trent Brown just kind of fucked up this good mojo this team had coming, guy. They just beat the Chiefs. They have this enormous game. Al Michaels is blowing them. Can't wait to get there. Everyone's kind of excited to watch this game. Now it feels like, who even knows?
You've been around the NFL, so maybe you could. How many buys do you get in a season?
1.
Oh, it's just the one. So they just burned their one bye with this disaster.
Yeah,
that seems like a waste.
Which I think even again, I didn't even think of it like this. What do you think Mayock and Gruden are thinking? Well, this guy, we have the bye week, and during a bye week this year, every player gets tested every day, right? it's the way the rules have happened. Pretty clear that this guy was probably not following what. Again, this sucks. You can't really go out. You got to really just avoid random people. Like, unlike me and you, we don't have to avoid random people because the entire league is not dependent on like every individual in the league, right? Or like our podcast. Like we could just pivot. We could delay it a week, whatever. In the NFL, even though I'd say 99% of these guys are not scared of this virus, they don't even think about this virus, there is a responsibility to, like, you do have to avoid, and there were bylaws that they started when they did the whole kind of agreement before this year. It was going to suck. Like, it's not going to be a fun year. You got to kind of stay home. And I think a guy like this, where if you're Gruden, Mayock, Carr, all these guys, you're like, this guy just fucked us. Because either way now, the game's out of whack. I think the Raiders are just out of whack right now.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of unfair that this guy, you can't cut him or anything, you know?
It's gone from lining up perfect. This weekend was lining up perfectly for them, just given what they had just done to the Chiefs, the opportunity against the Bucs, the stage, the new stadium, Sunday Night Football. Wasted.
Yeah, sad deal.